Life as a medieval archer was not a mere occupation. It was an all-encompassing, soul-crushing existence that demanded everything from those who dared to wield the longbow. It stripped away childhood, reshaped bodies, and offered little reward beyond survival. Physically exhausting, mentally draining, and emotionally devastating, it was a life few could endure. The question isn't whether it was hard, it's whether you could bear its weight. From the earliest moments a boy in medieval England could walk, his destiny was often decided. Archery wasn't an option. It was a royal command etched into the fabric of society. Kings didn't ask for practice, they decreed it. Laws mandated that every able-bodied male from age 7 to 60 hone their skill with the longbow every Sunday after church, no exceptions. Disobedience brought fines or the humiliation of the stocks, a public reminder of failure. Picture a 10-year-old boy handed a bow as tall as he was, forced to draw it back, not once, not twice, but hundreds of times, until his tender hands split open, blood mixing with sweat. The men around him offered no pity, their voices cold and unyielding. Again. Your pain didn't matter. If you couldn't pull the string, you were nothing in war. At first, the bow might be small-sized for a child's frame. But by 12 or 13, you faced the real weapon, a tool that even today's strongest struggle to master. Training wasn't just about aiming at straw targets. It was about forging a body capable of pulling a bow with over 100 pounds of resistance again and again. While other boys kicked balls or climbed trees, you hauled weights, hefted stones, and repeated the same agonizing motion until your muscles screamed and your bones bent. Skeletons from medieval graves tell the story. Twisted spines, oversized left arms, fingers gnarled with spurs, proof of a childhood stolen by relentless demand. Some archers' left arm bones grew 50% thicker than their right, their bodies warped into tools of war. By 16, if you survived, you could loose 12 arrows a minute, striking targets 200 yards away with lethal precision. Your fingers bore deep grooves, your calluses so tough a blade couldn't cut through a small shield against a world that offered no mercy. Medieval healers didn't coddle. A split hand got a shrug and a smear of dirt. This brutal youth was only the beginning of a life defined by struggle. You might think years of training would breed affection for the bow. Instead, it was a love laced with resentment. The English longbow was a masterpiece of war and a relentless tormentor. Standing nearly 6 feet tall, often taller than the archer himself, it was crafted from yew, a wood both light and unforgiving. At 3 to 5 pounds, it seemed manageable until you carried it for miles. Its true cruelty lay in the draw 90 to 180 pounds of force, 2 or 3 times a modern bow's power. Imagine hoisting a child with 3 fingers, then doing it 400 times in a day. There was no shortcut, no trick, only raw strength earned through pain. The toll was etched into the body. Skeletons show thickened bones, compressed vertebrae, arthritis so severe it must have ached with every breath. Some archers grew bone spurs on their hands, jagged reminders of their trade. Yet they kept drawing. The bow demanded constant care. Its hemp or flax string waxed daily, kept dry at all costs. Spares were coiled around heads, under helmets, a grim practicality. A warped bow was useless, and even the best ones snapped under battle strain. Arrows, too, were a science too light they faltered. Too heavy they fell short. A skilled archer fired 10 to 12 a minute, adjusting for wind and distance, their life tied to the weapon they both mastered and cursed. War didn't wait for rested men or light loads. When the call came, archers carried burdens that would stagger a modern soldier. The longbow was just the start, 6 feet of wood and 5 pounds of weight slung over a shoulder. Arrows made it heavier, 60 to 100 of them, 7 to 12 pounds of sharp necessity. No sleek quivers here. Arrows hung at hips, stuffed in boots, or stabbed into the earth, a tripping hazard for the unwary. Running out in battle meant death, so archers hauled extra shafts, feathers and heads fletching on the fly amidst chaos. Bowstrings fragile in rain came in threes, wrapped tight in waxed cloth, or tucked wherever they'd stay dry. Some said even in places no one dared mention. Armor was sparse. A quilted jacket, 10 to 15 pounds of padded misery or chainmail for the fortunate, adding 20 more. Helmets weighed 3 to 5 pounds a buckler, 3 more. Then the weapons, a dagger for stabbing a hammer, for smashing an axe, for hacking Plan B when arrows failed. Add food, water. A cloak, fire-starting flint, spare boots, and the total climbed to 60 or 80 pounds. They called themselves half man, half beast of burden, joking through gritted teeth that a straight back meant you weren't trying hard enough. The march to war was a war itself. Dawn broke with no warmth, no fire, no hot meal. Just cold water and bread hard as stone. In enemy lands, flames were forbidden, so hunger gnawed as sharply as the wind. 20 miles a day was standard 30 if the commander was desperate, all with 80 pounds strapped to your frame. Roads were myths. Mud rocks and fields stretched endlessly, each step a test of will. Boots, thin and leather shredded fast, replaced with rags or battlefield scraps. Some toughened their feet with salt and grit, a faint hope against the inevitable. Rain turned gear to sodden weights. Summer baked men alive. Winter stole fingers to frost. Sleep came on bare ground. Cloaks the only shield against cold and vermin. Food was bread that broke teeth, meat like leather, and whatever you could steal from the land. By battle's edge, you were a shadow of yourself, yet somehow that made you deadly. In battle, archers were more than bowmen. They were a force of nature, their formations a symphony of death. Lines curved subtly not for beauty, but to funnel arrows into a storm no enemy could escape. Terrain was their ally, a hill for range trees to block cavalry sun to blind foes. 100 archers could loose 1,000 arrows a minute. 6,000 as at Agincourt unleashed 60,000, a rain of steel and wood. Against foot soldiers, waves of arrows pinned them down. Against horsemen, stakes and precision broke their charge. A longbow arrow flew at 160 feet per second, piercing oak. 4 inches deep armor was no match. Flags, horns, and drums guided them a brutal rhythm in the chaos. Wind shifted, rain fell, ground narrowed. They adapted, turning war into a science of slaughter. When arrows ran dry, science became survival. Enemies closed in, and archers faced them with whatever they had left. 60 arrows lasted 15 minutes. Then came the dagger, the hammer, the axe. A knight in plate, trained since birth, towered over an archer in cloth, his sword a guillotine to your stick. Some swung their bows 6 feet of yew-turned club, others darted for fallen weapons. It was a mouse against a lion, yet some lived through luck, grit, or desperation. The shift from distant killer to frantic fighter was a brutal twist few could master. Wounds came next, and medicine was a gamble. An arrow through you was lucky it could be cleaned. Stuck inside it was a coin toss with a crow's beak tool. Sword cuts might mend, crushed bones rotted. Wine-washed wound stitches came from boar hair, cauterizing irons seared flesh to ruin. Field hospitals were straw and filth infection, a guest at every bed. Pain was met with a strap to bite or a prayer no one heard. Many lost hands. Arms' futures cut off to dodge the bow's call again. Survival was a curse when it left you broken. Pay was a promise often broken. 6 pence a day sounded fair, 2 gallons of ale until the treasury ran dry. Months unpaid archers looted to live, stripping armor worth half a year's wage. Peace meant no coin, just odd jobs or begging with a bow trick. Injury paid a pittance, retirement a plot of dirt if you were lucky. Most died poor, their graves unmarked, their hands empty. Society didn't know what to make of them. Nobles sneered, but relied on their skill. Peasants feared their tales. The church damned their bows, yet took their alms. Wives mourned early, children hid from recruiters. Archers belonged nowhere, heroes in war, ghosts in peace. Could you bear it? Most couldn't.